Chapter 1. The quiet competition no one talks about. Imagine this for a second. You meet someone, things feel good in the beginning. You're talking, texting, maybe even going out regularly. But then, something starts to shift. They reply a little slower. They seem a little more distant. And you start wondering, did I do something wrong? Now here's the part most people miss. It's not always about another person replacing you. Sometimes, you're not competing with another person at all. You're competing with their peace. And that changes everything. Because in modern dating, people are no longer asking, do I like this person? They're asking, does this person make my life feel better or heavier? In this video, I will explain exactly why modern dating feels this way, what it really means when someone chooses distance over connection, and how this silent competition actually decides whether someone stays or slowly pulls away. Chapter 2. Why being alone feels safer than ever before. If you really think about it, being alone today doesn't feel the way it used to. You're not sitting in silence anymore. You have your phone, your shows, your routines, your space. You can go days without feeling completely disconnected. You can fill your time without needing another person to do it. And because of that, peace has become very comfortable. Now this is important to understand. When someone is used to their own routine, their own emotional rhythm, their own quiet, they start protecting it. Not consciously all the time, but it becomes something they don't want disturbed. So when you enter their life, you're not entering an empty space. You're entering a system that already works. And if your presence feels like it disrupts that system instead of adding to it, even slightly, they start pulling back. Not because you're a bad person, but because their peace feels easier. Chapter 3. The subtle ways you might be adding pressure without realizing it. This is where most people get confused. They think attraction is enough. They think effort is enough. They think showing interest will automatically bring someone closer. But if you look carefully, it's not just what you do. It's how it feels to the other person. For example, let's say you text them often. You check in. You want reassurance. You ask questions like, are you okay? Or, why are you being distant? From your side, it feels like care. From their side, it can slowly start to feel like pressure. And it doesn't happen all at once. It builds quietly. Because now, instead of feeling relaxed when they see your message, they feel like they need to respond in a certain way. They feel like they need to manage your emotions along with theirs. And this is the moment where something shifts. Because peace doesn't require effort, but a relationship. Chapter 4. Emotional weight versus emotional safety. Now let's slow this down, because this is important. There's a difference between emotional connection and emotional weight. Emotional connection feels like ease. It feels like you can be yourself without overthinking every word. It feels like you're accepted without constantly needing to prove something. But emotional weight feels different. It feels like responsibility, like expectation, like something you have to handle rather than enjoy. And sometimes, without realizing it, you might be bringing emotional weight into the connection. Maybe you're overanalyzing their behavior. Maybe you're reacting quickly when something feels off. Maybe you're seeking clarity too often, too soon. None of these things are wrong. But when they happen too frequently, they shift the dynamic. And instead of feeling like a safe space, the connection starts feeling like something they need to manage. Chapter 5. Why attraction alone doesn't save you. This is the part that feels unfair, but it's real. You can be attractive. You can be interesting. You can even be exactly their type. And still lose. Because attraction brings someone in. But peace is what makes them stay. If being around you creates tension, confusion, or emotional pressure, it doesn't matter how strong the initial attraction was. Over time, the brain starts associating you with effort instead of comfort. And once that association forms, the person doesn't even need a clear reason to pull away. They just feel like being alone is easier. And they follow that feeling. Chapter 6. The role of overthinking and pushing people away. If you look closely, overthinking plays a bigger role than most people realize. You notice small changes. You analyze tone. You read between lines that may not even be there. And then, you react to what you think is happening. But here's the problem. When you react to assumptions instead of reality, you create emotional situations that didn't need to exist. You might ask questions that feel intense. You might bring up concerns too early. You might try to fix something that wasn't broken. And from the other person's perspective, it feels like things are becoming complicated. Even if your intention is clarity, the experience becomes pressure. And slowly, they start associating you with stress instead of ease. Chapter 7. Why people choose distance instead of communicating. Now you might wonder, why don't they just say this clearly? And honestly, that's a fair question. But the reality is, most people don't fully understand their own feelings in the moment. They don't sit there thinking, this person is disrupting my peace. They just feel off. They feel a slight sense of tension, a slight sense of emotional effort. And instead of analyzing it deeply, they do what feels easiest. They create space. They reply less. They become less available. They slowly detach. Not because they want to hurt you, but because distance restores their sense of calm. And this is why it often feels confusing. Because nothing big happened, but something small kept repeating, until it changed how they felt. Chapter 8. What it actually means when someone pulls away. Let's make this very clear. When someone pulls away in modern dating, it doesn't always mean they found someone better. And it doesn't always mean they lost attraction. Very often, it means something felt heavier than it should have. It means being in the connection required more emotional energy than being alone. And when that happens, the brain makes a very simple decision. It chooses the option that feels lighter. So if you feel like someone drifted away without a clear reason, this is usually what was happening underneath. Not a dramatic ending, just a quiet preference for peace. Chapter 9. The truth about winning in modern dating. Now here's the part that brings everything together. You don't win someone by being more attractive. You don't win by trying harder. And you definitely don't win by controlling the outcome. You win by being someone whose presence feels calm, safe, and easy. Someone who doesn't create unnecessary pressure. Someone who doesn't turn small moments into emotional tension. Someone who allows the connection to breathe instead of tightening it. Because when being with you feels easier than being alone, that's when someone naturally stays. Not because they have to, but because they want to. Chapter 10. The clear answer you were looking for. So let's answer this directly. Modern dating feels difficult not because people don't want relationships, but because they value their peace more than ever before. And if a connection threatens that peace, even slightly, it becomes replaceable. Not by another person, but by solitude. That's the truth. If being with you feels stressful, confusing, or emotionally heavy, you lose. No matter how attractive you are. But if being with you feels calm, simple, and emotionally safe, you don't have to compete. Because you're no longer competing with their peace. You become part of it. And that is what actually makes someone stay.